Yeah, good morning, everybody. I welcome you again this morning to another series on anger and its management. Learn when to be silent. Anger is a very strong emotion, a feeling that is oriented towards some real or supposed grievance. It is personified as one of the deadly sins. So many people get angry, and so many people are angered because of one reason or the other. This morning, we shall be looking at what is anger. We shall also look at how anger, or what you can do to avoid getting into a lot of problems because of anger. Please join me as we discuss together. May God bless you as you follow us. Then, anger is a hidden threat in every human being. Some display anger openly, while others conceal it in their heart. When some people are angry, you may know, and when some are angry, you may not know. It can live with a man for ages if it is not eradicated timely and wisely. Anger is caused or can be caused by so many things, positive or negative, depending on the emotion of the person concerned. Anger is caused by a lot of, anger has caused a lot of good or damage at one time or the other in different places at different times. Many are victims of unconditional anger. I can learn from my past mistakes. You can also learn from words of wisdom of other philosophers. Share some of these experiences. We will look at what is anger. We will look at anger is a valid emotion. It is only bad when it takes control and makes you do things you don't want to do. That is what Ellen Hopkins said. Anger is a just anger. It isn't good. It isn't bad. What you do with it is what matters. It is like anything else. You can use it or to destroy. You can have to make the choice. Butcher said this about anger. Anybody can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person and the right degree and at the right time is actually what matters. The strong man is not the good wrestler. The strong man is the only one who controls himself when he is angry. That is what Prophet Muhammad said. Mahatma Gandhi said, a man should forget his anger before he lies down to sleep. A great word of wisdom. Winnie Dare said, you can't be angry and laugh at the same time. Anger and laughter are exclusive, and you have the power to choose either. Anger is the enemy of non-violence, and pride is a monster that swallows it up. That is what Mahatma Gandhi said. He said also, anger and intolerance are the enemies of correct understanding. Malcolm X said this about anger. Usually when people are sad, they don't do anything. They just cry over their condition. But when they get angry, they bring about a change. Marcus Antonius has this to say about anger. Consider how much more you often suffer from your anger and grief than from those very things from which you are angry and grieved. Mark Twain said this about anger. When angry, count to 4. When very angry, before you swear. The same Mark Twain said something. He said that anger is an acid that can do more harm to a vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. Look at what Mamel Ox said. He said, the opposite of anger is not calmness. It's Matmet Ox said that. Rutherford said this. There are 3 things all wise men should fear. Number 1 is the sea in storm. Number 2 is a night with no moon. And the number 3 is the anger of a gentleman. Phyllis Diller had anger. Never go to bed mad. Stay up and fight. Proverbs chapter 29 verse 11 has this to say about anger. A fool gives full vent of his anger, but a wise man keeps himself under control. Elizabeth Kenny said this about anger. Angers you, conquers you. Ambrose Bierce says, speak when you are angry, and you will make the best speech you will ever. I repeat, speak when you are angry, and you make the ever grievous speech you will regret. Marcus Aurelius said, how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Great words of wisdom. Plato, a Greek philosopher, has this to say. There are 2 things a person should never be angry at. What you can help and what they cannot help. That's the words of Plato. There are so many other people who has one thing or the other to say. Bruce Lee said this about anger. A quick temper will make a fool of you soon enough. A quick temper will make a fool of you soon enough. Eckhart Tolle, a German, said this. Where there is anger, there is always pain. Every time you get angry, you poison your system. Alfred Montapart said that. Never do anything when you are in a temper, for you will do everything wrong. Bastla Gratian has that to say. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting no other person to die. That is a Buddha word of wisdom, a quote from Buddha. You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. When angry, we let others' mistakes punish us. To forgive others is to be kind to yourself. When angry, we let others' mistakes punish us. To forgive others is to be kind to ourselves. Confucius has this to say. When anger rises, think of the consequences. When anger rises, think of the consequences. Cherikate Scott has this to say about anger. Anger makes you smaller, while forgiveness forces you to grow beyond what you are. If you are patient in one moment of anger, you will escape 100 days of sorrow. That's a Chinese proverb. If you are patient in one moment of anger, you will escape 100 days of sorrow. Mario said this about anger. A hand ready to hit may cause you great trouble. A hand that is ready to hit may cause you a great trouble. A man in a passion rides a mad horse. Benjamin Franklin said that. A man who is riding, who has a passion, burning in a passion, is riding on a mad horse. Edward Bulwer Lytton said this about anger. Anger ventilated often hurries towards forgiveness, and concealed often hardens into revenge. A quarrelsome man has no good neighbors. A quarrelsome man has no good neighbors. That is what Benjamin Franklin said. If a small thing has the power to make you angry, does that not indicate something about your size? That is what Sidney Harris said. If a small thing has the power to make you angry, does that not indicate something about your size? An English proverb says this: anger is often more hurtful than the injury that caused it. Anger is a wind that blows out the lamp of the mind. Anger is a wind that blows up the lamp of the mind. You can't shake hands with a clenched fist. That is what Indira Gandhi said. Maya Angelou said this: bitterness is like cancer. It eats upon the host, but anger is like fire. It burns it all clean. There is a Buddha proverb that has this to say about anger. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burnt. Do not teach your children never to be angry. Teach them how to be angry. Layman Abbott has that to tell us. Buddha Sanders said this about anger: never respond to an angry person with a fiery comeback, even if he deserves it. Don't allow his anger to become your anger. Buddha Sanders. Anger dwells only in the bosom of fools. That is what Albert Einstein said. Gautama Buddha says this: the sharpest sword is a word spoken in wrath. At the core of all anger is a need that is not being fulfilled. Marshall Rosenberg. A man can't eat anger for breakfast and sleep with it at night and not suffer damage to his soul. A man can't eat anger for breakfast and sleep with it at night and not suffer damage to his soul. Garrison Keller has that to say. Benjamin Franklin added, whatever is begun in anger ends in shame. Whatever that is begun in anger ends in shame. There is another Chinese proverb that has this to say: not the fastest horse can catch a word spoken in anger. Not the fastest horse can catch a word spoken in anger. Barbara de Angelis said this about anger: the more anger towards the past you carry in your heart, the less capable you are of loving in the present. The more anger towards the past you carry in your heart, the less capable you are of loving in the present. Learn this from me. Mitch Albom said this: holding anger is poison. It eats you from inside. We think that hating is a weapon that attacks the poison who harmed us. But hatred is a curved blade, and the harm we do we do to ourselves. In other words, anger is always returning back to us. Anger is what makes a clear mind seem clouded. Kazi Shams contributed by saying that. Benjamin Franklin added and said, anger is never without a reason, but seldom with a good one. In other words, there are hardly good reasons why people get angry. It is wise to direct your anger towards problems, not to people. Focus your energies on answers, not on excuses. That is what William Otto Ward said about anger. It is a waste of energy to be angry with a man who behaves badly, just as it is to be angry with a car that won't go. When a car spoils and you are angry at it, it is like a waste of energy for a man to be angry with a man who behaves badly. Bertrand Russell has that to say. A Korean proverb said this about anger. If you kick a stone in anger, you will hurt your foot. It is not the stone, it is the person who kick that will be hit. Postpone today's anger until tomorrow. The effect of it will be disastrous. The anger of the prudent never slows. That's another Pomeye's saying about anger. I don't know whether you are following words of wisdom. Horace said this, that anger is a short madness. The greatest remedy for anger is a delay. When angry, always delay a little. It will calm down. Sometimes when I'm angry, I have the right to be angry. But that doesn't give me the right to be cruel. That's an unknown person said that. Anger, it is a paralyzing emotion. You can't get anything done once you are angry. Toni Morrison contributed that. Colin Powell has this to say, get mad, then get over it. In other words, you can control it. Exaggeration is a truth that has lost its temper. Khalil Gibran contributed that. Alexander Pope has this to say, to be angry is to revenge the faults of others on ourselves. To be angry is to revenge the fault of others on ourselves. When you are caught up in a destructive emotion, you have lost one of your greatest assets. That is your independence. Dalai Lama said that about anger. If you and I want to stir up a resentment tomorrow that may rankle across the decades and endure until death, just let us indulge in a little stinging criticism, no matter how certain we are that it is justified. Anger makes dull men witty, but it keeps them very poor. Elizabeth I said that. In days that follow, I discovered that anger is easier to handle than grief. Emily Giffren said that. When I look at the words of another great man who said, anger is a momentary madness, so control your passion or it will control you. Travelan GM said that. Anger and jealousy can no more bear to lose sight of their objects than love. George Eliot said that. Anger is never without an argument, but seldom with a good one. I love my temper, but it's all over in a minute, says a student. So is the hydrogen bomb. But I replied, but think of the damage it produces. Anger can be like a time bomb. Anger at lies lasts forever. Anger at truth can't last. Laton said, the best remedy for a short temper is a long walk. Walk out from wherever anger is developing. But angry people are not always wise. Jane Austen said that. Holding on to anger, resentment, or hurt only gives you tense muscles, a headache, and a sore jaw from clenching your teeth. Forgiveness will give you back the laughter and the lightness in your life. Forgiveness will return back joy, but anger will bring pain. Anger doesn't demand action. When you act in anger, you lose self-control. Joe Hammonds said that. The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. Every day we have plenty of opportunities to get angry, stressed, or offended. But what you are doing when you indulge these negative emotions, giving something outside yourself power over your happiness, you can choose to not let little things upset you. Whatever you allow to upset you controls you. John Austin says that. The longer I live, the more I observe that carrying around anger is the most debilitating thing to the person who bears it. That is Catherine Graham. Something my mom taught me for years and years ago is life just too short to carry around a great bucket load of anger and resentment and bitterness and hatred and all that sort of stuff. Kevin Rood said that. Carrying buckets of anger all through life is only a damage to our lives. Don't hold to anger, hurt, or pain. They steal your energy and keep you from love. Anger is a killing thing. It kills the man who angers. For each rage leaves him less than he had been before. It takes something from him. When a man is angry, something is always taken away from him. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. For every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. Ralph Waldo Emerson said that. Every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. For every minute you remain angry, you give up 60 seconds of peace of mind. There was never an angry man that thought his anger is unjust. A man who is angry can never see anything wrong about his anger. He will be angry for anything, will be angry for nothing. He that will be angry for anything will be angry for nothing. It is a waste of time to be angry about my disability. One has to go on with life. And I haven't done badly. People won't have time for you if you are always angry or complaining. Stephen Hawking says that about himself. If you don't control your temper will control you. Stephen King. Anger is like a storm rising from the bottom of your heart and consciousness. When you feel it coming, turn your focus from your breath. 2 things a man should never be angry at: what he can help and what he cannot help. Thomas Fuller. When angry, count to 10 before you speak. If very angry, count to 100. A wise word. If it won't matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes getting angry about it. That's an unknown person. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Choose the one you want. Anger is the emotion preeminent, serviceable for the display of power, which is actually part of life. My tongue will be the anger of my heart, or else my heart concealing it will break. William Shakespeare. Anger is a great force. If you control it, it will be transmuted into a power which can move the whole world. Let's now consider the second part of this talk very quickly. What can you do to overcome anger? What is the Bible thing about that? Now, I'll give you 20 things or 21 things very quickly from the Bible, which is advice about anger. When to be silent. It's not every time we talk. It is not every time somebody makes us angry we respond. 21 things the Bible advises, and 21 times when you should not speak or be silent. Some people say silent is the best answer to a fool. Look at what the Bible has to say. Number 1, be silent when you don't have all the facts about a matter. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 13. Number 2, be silent when you haven't verified the whole story. Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 6. Number 3, be silent if your words will offend a weaker person. 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 11. Be silent when it is time to listen. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 1. Be silent when you are tempted to make light of holy things. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 2. Be silent when you are tempted to make light, when you are tempted to joke about sin. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 9. Be silent if you will be ashamed of your words later. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 8. Be silent if your words would convey the wrong impression. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 27. Be silent if the issue is none of your business. Don't get involved in matters that does not concern you. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 10. Be silent when you are tempted to tell an outright lie. Anytime you are pushed to lie, prefer to be silent. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 24. Be silent if your words will damage someone else's reputation. That may cause slandering. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 27. Be silent if your words will damage a friendship. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 28. Be silent when you are feeling very critical. James chapter 3, verse 9. Be silent if you can't say it without screaming it. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28. Be silent if your words will be a poor reflection of the Lord or your friends and family. 1 Peter chapter 2, 21 to 23. Be silent if you may have to eat your words later. What you say out, you may likely get it back. You will likely swallow it back. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21. Be silent if you have already said it more than one time. Repetition sometimes may not be the best option. Be silent when you are tempted to flatter a wicked person. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 24. Be silent when you are supposed to be walking instead. Whosoever guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from troubles. Proverbs chapter 21, verse 23. Beloved, anger is in every man. We are all victims of anger. We get angered easily every time. But words of wisdom from great men and words of God encourages us that we can manage anger. I want to believe you may have learned something from this. May the Lord bless you for listening to us. We thank you for being part of this series. We pray that you will help us share this video. And also we encourage you to join us in subsequent bulletin. Control your anger. You can deal with the anger. Forgiveness and love is the best solution to anger. Why are you angry over this situation for long? Do not allow your anger to stay over the night. Try as quickly as possible to resolve it. May God bless you. May the Lord give us wisdom to do this and to live above anger. We can. Thank you for being part of this. And may the Lord bless you.